What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR and Bitcoin today. We're riding up our upward sloping trend line. And with today's price action, it's definitely making me point back to this move over here. Like I said, I'm definitely starting to take this even more into consideration after seeing the price action. With that pullback, potentially going to that 0.5 to the 618, maybe at least tapping it. I'm not saying we're going to go to 330, but I just want to make sure we keep our mind open to that idea. You always have to keep your mind open to both sides of the trade. So you can't be one-sided on certain things and think that only one scenario is going to play out. So I have been seeing some people actually calling specific dates, specific prices, and these people have been wrong day after day, day after day, day after day. So I think you have to be careful when you're doing that. That's why you'll never hear me saying this, because those are people that they're hyping you up with fake sense of hope, you know? So you got to be careful with who you watch and what you take as gospel. You got to have a very balanced mindset. It's not that I don't think we're going higher, because I still think we are. And I don't know when, like I said, but there's a chance that we do end up touching this gray trend line again and potentially meeting that 0.5, like I said, which would line up exactly with this move here to continue up to the next leg. And honestly, MSTR did good today in terms of when you compare it to, let me take this off, all these yellow lines. When you compare it to Bitcoin from 9:30 a.m., it actually didn't do terrible. So from 9:30, you can see actually we'll go all the way from the top. We pushed down 5.2%. And in that same time frame, Bitcoin 9:30 pushed about the same, 5.1. So the fact that they actually pushed down the same amount, that's a very good sign, honestly, because typically Bitcoin drops 5%, MSTR is dropping 12, 13, who knows? Something more aggressive than 5%, I'll tell you that. So I think it's a very good sign. We're still holding this level of support right here. We're going to pull up these SMAs now. We are getting closer to our 20 SMA, but we're not making it there yet. On the daily, we're definitely getting closer to the 50. So maybe this turns out to be some kind of double bottom that we're trying to get here. I don't know if you want to take it from here or from here, but we'll just go from here. And push that back up, back down. Maybe we touch the 50 and then we make our way up. Who knows? But we have to keep in mind this gray box here is that golden zone to the downside. So please keep that in mind. We need to break that level, and I think we can kind of get some relief on price to allow price to move up higher at a faster rate. And here on the 4-hour, we've just fallen underneath the 50. We retested, and now we've fallen underneath the 20, which is a blue moving average. But we are still holding that support, so I think we're okay for sure. I don't think the move is over completely. I still think we're in that in-between phase. Here on the weekly, we're creating higher highs, higher lows, potentially making our move down to that yellow moving average, which we spoke about, saying maybe we come to the yellow moving average before we get that move to the upside. And here on the daily, we actually rejected off of the yellow moving average and are making our way down. So maybe this actually turns out to be some kind of a double bottom that we're trying to get on a larger scale. Maybe this is really what we're seeing here. And then we're actually forming something like that. Because at first we were saying a inverse head and shoulders, which is what it kind of looked like. But after that rejection, maybe it's actually this is irrelevant, these shoulders here, and it's really just a double bottom. So like I said, you'll never hear something that's 100% from me because I don't know. And I'm not going to pretend like I do know, like some of these YouTubers have been doing. I'm trying to keep it honest with you guys, 100% real. I rather have less subscribers and less views and just be authentic, just like if I'm talking to a family member about what's coming up. That's how I want to treat you guys. I don't want to use you guys for views and stuff like that. I don't know. That's not right in my opinion. That's just not how I work ethically. So I could probably have, double the subscribers, double the views if I just say, yeah, MSTR going to 1,000 in every single post, and I could get way more views and subs, but that's just not how I am. But anyways, so here on the weekly, still looking good. This is pushing downward though. I do think we can probably start to see a ramp up, but this is obviously going to take a little bit of time. And with that time, when you think about it, the time that it takes, we could continue trending sideways to that gray trend line, and that's when we get our move up, if that makes sense, in terms of TA, it just, that makes sense. It obviously wouldn't be sideways like that, but it would be chopping and then maybe boom. Here on the daily, we're still above the dotted line, but we're definitely pushing downward. We have bearish momentum, but we're still in bullish territory, if that makes any sense. And we just want to see this kind of dwindle down and flip green. Overall though, like I said, I still think this is a very likely scenario. I'm not gonna say very likely, but there's a chance that we could make it to this yellow moving average. To this gray upward sloping trend line, whether it's above the 0.5 or right at the 0.5, I don't know, but I do think we can run into that gray moving average before making our way up, which kind of lines up with that old move over there on the side. But I still think things are exactly as we spoke of prior, which is the flagpole, that one measuring out this move, this flagpole potentially measuring out this move. I don't think anything has changed fundamentally. I think we're still in a good position. MNAV is slowly creeping back up. MSTR looks like it already front ran Bitcoin, because if this same drop happened, a week and a half ago, MSTR would have been down 15% or something crazy. But as you can see, it dropped the same amount as Bitcoin, which is very promising. And then, like we've always talked about, pulling our fibs in the bullish direction, 2618, 2272, kind of mark that move there, and pulling it from there to there lines up with this top of this channel. If you want to be more conservative, you can pull it down a little bit to this area. And if you pull it down to that area for a more conservative target, then you land at 880 to about 1,000. So those are kind of the two areas that we're looking at for potential price targets. Whether it's this leg up and a reset for another leg up, or this is the final leg, we'll find out, of course, with time. That'll be, varying on Bitcoin and the economy, as I stated before. But this is holding as great support right now. Now here on Bitcoin, we were actually talking about it in the last video, and I said I didn't want it to play out, but it potentially is playing out. We box price in. Let me make these red so you can, that's actually a terrible idea. Let me make these yellow and bright. There you go. So I can show you where we boxed price in last time. So this is how I used to trade. I don't trade anymore. I'm just an investor. I think it's better. So I'm just going to take this off. So what I did was I boxed price in, and pretty much you trade the breakouts. That's how I used to do it. So I saw that playing out with the inverse head and shoulders. I'm sorry, with the head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And this is why I always say you can't call for specific things to happen. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it's actually stupid to do, in my opinion. You can do it, and then if you're right, you can act like you're a god, but you're not. You just got lucky. Nobody knows where this thing's going. So you box price in, and it breaks to a certain direction. And that's exactly what we did. We boxed it in because it could have broken to the upside, could have broken to the downside. This could also just be a fake out, and unemployment comes out in a way that spikes price, and we continue rallying. So we don't know what's happening. We never will. We aren't those guys or girls. But yeah, we're talking about it, head and shoulders, and right now it's playing out a little bit more, but that doesn't mean that it's going to play out 100% because, like I said, this could also be a fake out. Like this doesn't have to play out. Nothing ever has to, nothing's for certain in any kind of way. And like I said, you take your measured target, and that's what you're looking at. So that's kind of what you'd be looking at, somewhere in that range. But hopefully we don't see something like that. That would be very dramatic. Now, if something bad happens tomorrow for the unemployment rate, because today was the jobless claims, which holds less weight than the unemployment rate. But this also could be related to Trump and Elon and that whole feud that's going on. Could be staged, but that's another topic for another day. But yeah, so if something bad happens on Friday, then potentially the head and shoulders could play out. If it turns out to be bullish, then this could just be a fake out and we break to the upside. So yeah, always boxing price in, and when things are trending sideways, you box it in and it's going to break out to the upside or to the downside. That's pretty much all we know. So there's always two scenarios. It could have been this, breakout, retest, push up higher, chop, break down, retest, push down lower. It's really how it goes. You box price up and it breaks out to the upside or breaks down to the downside. But anyways, it is definitely playing out. On the weekly, we are well above our SMA. Here on the daily, now we have touched our 50, which could be a good thing. Maybe we get a little bit of a bounce there and we can push up in a significant way from there. Let me take these off really quick. But yeah, maybe this is a nice little reset for price and we continue to push up higher, break through our 20 SMA and push to the top of this range, which I said is going to be our next key level of resistance that we're going to be looking at. It's connecting these tops here. So anywhere from 117, 115, 120, depending on when we come in contact with it, that's going to be the key level. Ideally, it's to break above this, of course, retest that. And once we can do that, you really have nothing to the left and it's free game from there. But looking to the left and connecting these tops, that's where our last line of resistance in terms of TA is coming from. But we're looking pretty good though overall, especially on the monthly, we're looking awesome. But back to the daily, a bounce off the 50 could be a key move to the upside. We'll see. Last time we broke above the 50 and actually came back to it, we got a double bottom and rallied from there. So let's see what happens. We broke above, and this is the first time that we actually come back to touch the 50 this entire time. So maybe that's just a little reset that we needed to continue up higher. Now, don't rule out the possibility of falling through and retesting the 50 and continuing down to the 200, and then maybe we find support there. And also that 200 aligns with that measured move on the head and shoulders. So actually, let me draw that out again. I think it was somewhere like here, just a rough estimate. It doesn't have to be exact, but just so we get an idea if that were to happen. The measured move, just rough, quick little estimate. Yeah, you can see that measured move of the head and shoulders would take you to that 200-day SMA, which, you know, would probably be more than likely, or we open up our chances of it happening a little bit higher if we close on the daily underneath this 50. I think you open yourself up to that potential drop to the 200, which also coincides with another level of support at around 94,000 to about 93,200. So that's kind of where we're looking at for Bitcoin. We were just saying that nothing was really happening with Bitcoin, and now something's happening. Price is actually moving. Price was kind of just boxed up, like I said. We're just trending sideways for honestly a while. Since May 8th, we've kind of just been in the same spot. We're kind of still in the same spot. This is just a small pullback, and we're already rejecting or getting a bounce, pushing back up. So Nothing's really changed. We're still looking very bullish as ever. Here on the Tether dominance, it's actually not looking the best. And this is part of the reason why we're getting that drop. This is showing a flight back to stablecoins. But on the bright side, there is a key level that we're currently at right now. Let me change this from yellow. I don't really like it too much. That was just for that example. Okay, so we're actually at a key level that we just got rejected off of. So hopefully we can wick all the way back to this level, chop, break through, and continue our move to the downside as we were doing before. Like I said, this Tether dominance chart shows a flight from, altcoins, Bitcoin, any kind of risk asset in terms of crypto back to stable coins. So as this is going down, as it goes down, that's flowing from stable coins, from risk off to risk on. As it goes up, it's vice versa. It's the opposite. So this is and this actually kind of looks like an inverse head and shoulders as well at the same time. You can actually see that here as well. So you can see that, boom, got your head, shoulder, and the measured move takes us much higher, which I hope we don't see because that would be a significant drop on Bitcoin. So you could be looking at something like that, maybe run into resistance at 5.2 or something if the inverse head and shoulders were to play out. Hopefully it doesn't. Maybe we just get rejected from here and push on down. But what we really want to see is a durable move below this level here so we can make it to that blue line and potentially be getting our at least local top, or if not cycle top for the year. We'll see where things take us, of course. And let's see if we have any SMAs. Oh yeah, we have the 50-day SMA. Hopefully going to act as resistance. We only have an hour and 17 minutes. I don't know if we're going to reject. Probably not. I would imagine that we're going to close above it. Of course, I want us to close back underneath it. So it acts as resistance and pushes price down. All right, now we have support underneath here, and we're supporting right now. If we get the close, it's going to be support above the 50. So we definitely want to get a push back underneath that. Let's take a look at the weekly as well. And, this is a good sign. We have the 50 and the 20 on the weekly, which are higher time frames. That's a lot of resistance above our head there, which is perfect. We want to see resistance. So we have a level of support and resistance right here, which is confluence with the 50 and the 20. So you have a lot of things that are going to allow price to push back down. So maybe this is just a minor pullback on Bitcoin, and this pushes down and Bitcoin can start to rally and get a nice move to the upside. And taking a look at MSTR divided by Bitcoin, like I said, this goes to show that MSTR did pretty good in a terrible day on Bitcoin. So I think we're still looking very good. I think we can still make it to the top of this channel and see where things take us. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Like and subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next one.